Hi there.
Good evening.
Shana Tova over yonder. Way over yonder.
182. La 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 ya la 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 I la la I ya la la ya la la ya la 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 hi ya la I la ya la 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 ya la la ya la 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 hi ya la ya la la ya la 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 I ya la la ya la la ya la 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 I la la
Hashivenu Adonai Elecha Benashuva Chadesh Yameinu Chadesh Yameinu Keketen I
Shana Tova, Shana Tova. During the weeks and days leading up to Rosh HaShanah, I heard from a number of people who were wrestling with this question: how can we celebrate when we are feeling the sorrow of so much tragedy? How can I wish anyone Shana Tova, Happy New Year? One of my Israeli friends said that he's noticing friends in Israel wish each other Shana Yoter Tova, which means a happier New Year. A happier New Year. In all honesty, that's one solution. But digging deeper, I thought about all the difficulties our people have lived through over so many years and so many generations. And the one word that kept surfacing for me is resilience. Our people know how to keep the spirit alive in the face of tremendous obstacles. My dear friend and colleague, Rabbi Tirza Firestone, who's also a psychologist, wrote a book about healing from generational Jewish trauma. Many of you met her last spring when she came to our congregation and spoke about her book. I'm just going to read you a paragraph from an interview she gave last year about her book. She said, "In my book, Jews from all over the world who have gone through the worst possible tragedies tell how they surmounted the trauma they went through. One of the things they all said was to face into what has happened to you and harness the power of the pain that you're feeling. Do something. Pick up the phone and give someone comfort. Give someone a smile, even if you have a mask on. Give a wave across the street. Write a check for tzedakah. Do something that is a meaningful step to rebalancing all that is unbalanced right now. So, we begin from this place of facing the reality of life these 10 days and your generosity, true, heartfelt generosity, your desire to connect with our community, your kindness is why we can wish each other a Shana Yoter Tova, a better year. We're going to bring in the lights for Yom Tov and Shabbat as we turn to page 6 in our Machzorim, in our prayer books. I'm going to share with you this intention. All the stars are hidden, and the moon is dark tonight. In the wide expanse of heaven, north to south, not a ray of light. Light a bright candle in my heart's shadowed tent, and through the wide expanse of heaven, the light will shine. Where there is sadness, let us offer love. Where there is fear, let us reach for hope. On this eve of the new year, may we bring light to one another.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel שבת ושל יום טוב. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Good evening. When I think of why I find myself sharing a few words with you tonight, I chalk it up to the perils of prayer. The particular prayer in question occurred during my meditations in front of the Ark during Ne'ilah, my favorite high holiday service, 2 years ago. I was graced with this thought. Josh, I said to myself, you've become pretty comfortable with the sweet reclusiveness of rural life. You know, a little community wouldn't hurt. And wouldn't you know that 6 months later, the memory of that prayer was my very first thought during tea with Scott Roseman, as he suggested that my experience in nonprofit management might be of some use to the temple board. You know how time slows way down during moments of stress and panic? I did a lot of thinking in the next 30 seconds as my mind scanned the universe of elegant excuses, had to be elegant, onto which I could pin my polite no. But instead of a way out, the very next image that flashed across my mental screen was that of all of our past presidents gathered at this bima for their annual high holiday Aliyah, with the accompanying words, "Who do you think you are to say no when they all said yes?" And then the third and most crushing thought. You know, Josh, your self-image as someone aligned with social justice has not exactly been matched in action in recent years. If you serve a temple that is so beautifully aligned with Tikkun Olam, and so I said, yes. Months ago, when I first anticipated that I would be sharing some thoughts with you on this occasion, I figured that I would focus on singing the praises of the many truly wonderful spiritual, educational, and social programs at the temple that my new involvement in community had revealed to me, so as to entice you to become more involved yourselves. And of course, I do encourage you to jump in. But now, during times of COVID and fires, it seems far better for these words to reflect on our temple community itself. What I discovered to my delight is that I am far, far from being alone in terms of saying yes. In fact, yesness is decidedly at the core of our community. And it is I who am pretty late to the party. All of our multitude of offerings, from senior connections to the array of sisterhood and brotherhood events, to our film festival, to classes in so many areas, to our gift shop, to temple school support, to our library, just a few examples, are all reliant on our members saying yes. All of our committees, from finance to buildings and grounds, to cemeteries, to membership engagement, to our board of directors, thrive on this generosity of spirit. By the way, this is a good moment for me to truly thank Doug Somerville, whose term on the board ended this summer, along with two long-serving past presidents and former presidents, Gus Gold and Scott Roseman, and to welcome 5 new board members, Dave Leota, Lita Miller, Tori Au, Olivia Stignero, and soon-to-be treasurer, Carrie Sundberg. Our board is distinguished by dedication, expertise, and extraordinary personal warmth and harmony. All of our temple's social action and caring work, from Mazon to COPA to voter registration to funding charitable work in Israel and so much more, are all membership-driven with leadership from our Social Action Committee. Compassionate members of our Hevrei Kadisha bathe, clothe, and provide ritual presents to our beloved deceased. We pitch in for work days, sukkah construction, Purim carnivals, the organization of neighborhood gatherings, and once upon a time, for cooking, and more cooking. Of course, there is our wonderful choir, and there is all of you who chant Torah, create Rock Shabbats, and support our worship in so many ways. And we say yes and yes again when funding our new Litvak wing, the 60 for 60 campaign, our Bima project for refurbishing our piano, hiring our new cantor, and recent support for those experiencing loss from fires. Together, we will find a way to replenish our building fund as we thought best to seize the opportunity to complete important refurbishments while our facility is closed. And so many members said yes to increasing their membership dues this year, knowing that others had to tighten belts. What better measure of the health of a community? All pretty amazing from 500 or so families. Finally, a huge, very huge shout out to our clergy and staff who truly model and create the tone for our collective yes. All said, we look forward to one heck of a party at the temple to celebrate the moment when we can embrace each other in person once again. So, with collective gratitude to all of you who have said yes again and again, and also to all of you who, like me, are relatively new to, or will be new to, the yes experience, I wish everyone a year of sustained health and a return to better days. L'Shana Tova.
We continue in the middle of page 6 with the word beginning with the word tshuva, which means return. Tshuva, 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 tshuva.
Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return to who you are, return to what you are, return to where you are, born and reborn again.
Tshuva, 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 tshuva. Page 15, we continue. Tiku v'chodesh shofar b'kesel yom chagenu ki chok liYisrael hu mishpat l'Elohei Yaakov. We move now to page 17 for our Hineni. ונפחדת, מפחד יושב תהילות ישראל. באתי לעמוד ולחנן לפניך על עמך ישראל אשר שלחוני ואף על פי שנכדאית ועגונה לכך על כן אבקשך אלוהי אברהם ואלוהי שרה אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי רבקה ואלוהי יעקב אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה אדוני אל רחום וחנון אלוהים שדי Page 19, in the middle of the page, together in the English. our God and God of our ancestors, may we know your blessings in the year 5781. Eternal One, bless us and the whole house of Israel with renewed life, happiness and peace, comfort and courage, resilience and strength. May the words of our heart be acceptable to you in the new year that stretches before us. We are forever grateful for the gift of life. We are forever grateful for the gift of life. Page 20 for the Baruch Hu, and we rise if we're comfortable. Baruch Hu et Adonai Amevorach. Baruch Adonai Amevorach leolam vaed. Baruch Adonai Amevorach leolam vaed. Page 23 for our Ma'ariv. The second paragraph. The quickening of the moon calls us to return, and we gather, seam dwellers, on the edge of the earth. As the sun lowers itself into the sea, introspection rises. A sliver cracks the heart of the firmament. The vast blackness, an invitation to write ourselves anew. Umavir yom, umevir laila, umavdil ben yom uven laila, Adonai tzevot shemo, El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu leolam vaed. Baruch atah Adonai, Amariv Aravi. Torah Page 26. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta, page 28. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. Page 30. למען תזכרו עשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
We continue on page 35 as we prepare for chanting together the Nichamocha. These words from Viktor Frankl. May the memory of the righteous be for a blessing. One day, a few days after the liberation, I walked through the country past flowering meadows for miles toward the market town near the camp. Larks rose to the sky and I could hear their joyous song. There was no one to be seen for miles around. There was nothing but the wide earth and sky and the lark's jubilation and the freedom of space. I stopped, looked around, and up to the sky, and then I went down on my knees. At that moment, there was very little I knew of myself or the world. I had but one sentence in mind, always the same. I called to Adonai from my narrow prison, and God answered me in the freedom of space. Baruch Ata Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael.
Page 34. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nor tehilot osei felet, malechutecha ra'u v'necha, בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים. זה לי אנו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. Yivada Adonai et Yaakov uge'alo miad chazak mimenu Baruch atah Adonai Gal Yisrael. Amen. We continue for Shabbat on page 38. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti le'olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti le'olam. Ki sheshet Yami asa Adonai et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash. We turn now to the Chatzi Kaddish on page 40. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah v'yalamad yivarach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayeichon uv'yomeichon uv'chayei kol beit Yisrael b'gala uvizaman kariv v'imeru amen. Yehi shemei Rabbah mevorach leolam ula'alami alamaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnosei v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha brichu leila mikol bechata v'shirata tush bechata v'nechemata damiran b'yalama v'imeru amen.
As we prepare for the silent Amidah, the moment when we meditate and reflect on the year that was and what our intentions are for the year that will be, As we prepare, let's turn to page 39 and read I Go Among the Trees. I go among the trees and sit still. All my stirrings become quiet around me like circles on water. My tasks lie in their places where I left them, asleep like cattle. Then what is afraid of me comes and lives a while in my sight. What it fears in me leaves me, and the fear of me leaves it. It sings, and I hear its song. Then what I am afraid of comes. I live for a while in its sight. What I fear in it leaves it, and the fear of it leaves me. It sings, and I hear its song. After days of labor, mute in my consternations, I hear my song at last, and I sing it. As we sing, the day turns, the trees move. The Amidah is found on pages 42 through 71. I invite everyone to stand where you are if you like, and to take a moment for silent reflection.
There is special liturgy for the holy days inserted into our Amidah. One such section is a three-part prayer known as Uvachein, calling on us to pause and envision the world we are all praying for, to really, really see it, conveyed in the message of this song, which we hope you'll sing with us, its words shared on the screen. Uvachein, uvachein, and then, when wholeness and peace are restored. Uvachein, uvachein, and then, remembering what all life is for. In awe and afraid, taking stock of our days, healed by forgiveness and love. We pray a time will come as we return to the one, that we can become truly one. Uvachein, uvachein, and then, when wholeness and peace are restored. Uvachein, uvachein, and then, remembering what all life is for. Next slide. If we can have the next, oh, they're doing it, okay. You'll catch up with me, everyone. When reverence for life is the prayer that unites all people as one family, remembering our light, a spark of the divine in ourselves and in all living beings. Then and then, just the sound of it gives wings to hope, lays fear to rest, to feel the open wings of possibility. Then and then, imagine uvachein, uvachein, and then, when wholeness and peace are restored. Uvachein, uvachein, and then, remembering what all life is for.
Oh, Cantor Elisa, thank you for soothing our souls. Many of you know that back in the day, I was the lead singer for a world music women's band named Pele Juju. Some of you may actually remember those days. Our congregation was in the little building on Bay in California, so after helping Rabbi Rick lead Friday night services from the Bima, more than a few times after services, I would drive the short distance from the west side to the Catalyst. I'd change my clothes in the bathroom, and then I'd get up on stage to perform with the band. I kept singing at Temple Beth El for Shabbat evening services and with the band well into my third trimester of pregnancy. Now, one of the last times I sang with Pele Juju was a Saturday night at a different downtown venue. I was very close to my due date, but I took a nap in the afternoon. I was really excited about getting on stage with my bandmates. Don't worry, I didn't give birth on stage. And Aryeh was there in the crowd, so he was there to take care of me. But I do think what happened later that night had something to do with Pele Juju. So according to Hawaiian tradition, Pele is the goddess of volcanoes and fire, a perfect image for the rest of my story. We got home late and I sprawled out on the couch, and within just about half an hour, I felt my first contraction, my first volcanic eruption, and they started coming pretty close together. So I called my friend who was in training to become a nurse midwife, Margan, and we'd made plans for a home birth. My friend said that we should call our nurse midwife as soon as my water broke. And we kept monitoring my contractions just as we had learned to do in our birthing class. Aryeh helped me remember to breathe, and another friend who had assisted at home births and was an acupuncturist came over. It wasn't too long before my water broke, and we called Kate Boland. Kate was one of the first and most experienced nurse midwives in our county, and she arrived at our door shortly, and then everything stopped. No more contractions. We tried everything. I'll spare you the details, but let's just say that Daniel was born the following day at Dominican Hospital. So why am I telling you this very personal birth story on Rosh HaShanah? Hayom Harat Olam. The way we usually translate this phrase in English is, today the world is born. On Rosh Hashanah, we celebrate the birthday of the world. In the midst of a pandemic, an upcoming election, a reckoning with systemic racism, a rise in anti-Semitism, intense polarization in our country, climate crisis, we say in our Rosh Hashanah prayers, today the world is born. Hayom Harat Olam. But the actual translation of this phrase, Hayom Harat Olam, is a little bit more complicated. And I find it both a more poetic and meaningful description of Rosh Hashanah. What the phrase really says is that Rosh Hashanah is called a day of gestation. This day is considered, in a certain way, as the day in which things are happening, like in pregnancy. There's a child in there, it's not born yet, no one knows how it will go. But we all know there's a child in there. Labor is about to begin. The child is in the process of leaving the womb. It's particularly interesting that the rabbis, who, let's be honest, were men and didn't have the ability to physically birth a child, chose this image. This intentional choice speaks to the universal nature of our metaphor. It can have meaning for all of us, those who have physically birthed babies and those who haven't. Hayom Harat Olam. Today, the world is in gestation. What were the rabbis trying to teach us? Maybe we're asked to experience Rosh Hashanah as a day with an internal, hidden form, a day filled with potential for what may happen in this new year. For the time being, while in the gestational period, much is unknown, and we are waiting, full of expectations and also of worries and fears to see what will happen. What does that mean, especially this year? What is the world we might reimagine during this new year, this pregnant moment filled with potential? Sikh author, activist, and attorney Valerie Kaur speaks about the metaphors of birth and death in her book, See No Stranger. She invites us to imagine where we are in this difficult time in our country and our world. She asks if what we are seeing and feeling is the darkness of the tomb or the darkness of the womb. I know that using darkness as a pejorative term is fraught with potential racist implications, but bear with me because Valerie Kaur paints a vivid picture. She invites us to imagine what we might find in the darkness of the womb. How can we experience this womb-like darkness? She writes, quote, that the womb draws up notions of warmth, safety, love, and potential. As we know, the womb is where we as beings begin to grow, develop, and equip ourselves with the tools we need to enter into the unknown world. What if every experience of darkness in our lives offered this same opportunity to re-enter a safe and nurturing space for the sole purpose of dedicating time to our evolution? What if every experience of darkness in our lives offered this same opportunity to re-enter a safe and nurturing space for the sole purpose of dedicating time to our evolution? Hayom Harat Olam. Today, our world is in gestation, on the verge of being born. How will we midwife this moment? When will we push? How will we remember to breathe? What will labor require of us? How will we connect with our ability to be partners in recreating our world? One of the greatest ironies of life is how, in the process of giving life to a newborn baby, the mother may be risking her own life. The birthing of the new is not an easy task. That's why we call it labor. And so this day we say, today the world is being born. Different from any we've ever experienced. Some have wondered if we are living through biblical times, so many plagues, devastating fires, painful contractions that require breathing and pushing. And as with the birth of a new human, there's no going back. Once the contractions begin, the only choice is to birth the child. It's been difficult to breathe due to the smoke-filled air, the virus, police with a knee on George Floyd's neck. When we can't find our breath, we need others to remind us to breathe. And we also need the encouragement to push. When we listen and we're listened to, we take a breath. When we have uncomfortable conversations that lead to growth and understanding, we push. When we keep our hearts open to the painful birthing contractions, we don't really know what this new world will look like when it's born. We know we're not going back to the way it was. We are coming to a time of reckoning. The rabbis teach that with the coming of the Messianic age, there are difficult birth pangs. The transformation involves awareness and attention. Valerie Kaur writes, every social justice movement in America has been infused with faith leaders who ignite our moral imagination and connect us with our ability to recreate the world around us. Friends, we are gestating a new world. And yes, it does take a village or a congregation or many villages and congregations. Let's keep pushing and breathing for the sake of new life. The very new potential about to be born, because our labor for peace and justice is an act of love. And we say together, Amen. I want to share with you a brand new song that was inspired by the breathing and pushing teaching of Valerie Kaur, written by Zoe Toby. You who are breathless from a world in pain, you who feel like your chest is going to cave, What if this weakness were only felt by the brave who turn to the darkness with eyes wide awake? What if all this darkness is not of the tomb? What if all this darkness is the darkness of the womb? Breathe and push. Breathe and push, push, push. Come on and breathe and push. Breathe and push, push, push. We who were children, we who have dreams, we with ancestors by our side, still whispering, what if this pain now is not of the end, but a water that's breaking for something waiting to begin? What if all this darkness is not of the tomb? What if all this darkness is the darkness of the womb? Breathe and push. Breathe and push, push, push. Come on and breathe and push. Breathe and push, push, push. You and I labor, we labor in love, love, love. Yeah, we labor in love. You and I labor, we labor in love, love, love. We labor, oh yeah, we labor in love. I know you are trembling. I know you are scared. I know you feel it coming. The contraction is here. We'll brave it together. The flood and the fire. Always remember, your wisdom is calling from inside, saying breathe and push. Breathe and push, push, push. Come on and breathe and push. Breathe and push, push, push.
Thank you, Rabbi Paula. As we move into the concluding portion of our service, I want to take a moment to thank a whole bunch of people. First of all, we want to thank our entire staff for all they've done and continue to do for our congregation. There are so many ways that the staff has gone above and beyond, too many to name, providing programs and services since the COVID shutdown, and we want to acknowledge them with our gratitude and give thanks for them. We also give thanks for the astounding resilience of our educational staff who provided programs including Temple School, Senior Connections, Lifelong Learning, and especially our Simcha preschool staff. We appreciate also the outpouring of generosity for our Fire Relief Fund. We are beginning to hear from families who need our financial help. A big thanks to Jenny Schindler, who provided bags of apples for our Temple School families, and to Dion Edwards for her Shalom honeycomb jars of kosher honey. Dion is a new member who is a beekeeper, and she jumped right in to help us. Thanks to our choir director, Emily Sinclair, for putting together our online choir recordings. I know this has been a huge effort. And last but not least, Andy Yanowitz, who is our tech expert, for the literally thousands of hours he has given us. We would not be able to afford to hire anyone with his level of talent and dedication, and no money on earth could pay for such love that he gives us. And I want to make an announcement about voting. Our congregation has written well over 10,000 postcards to citizens around the country, urging people to make plans for voting. This effort is part of the Religious Action Center's campaign, Every Voice, Every Vote, and we continue to write the postcards. You'll see information about that in our emails. And also, you may be aware of the proposed ethnic studies model curriculum, which will be required of all California high school students. A draft was released last summer that was widely criticized for bias. The review draft released this month is improved, but remains disturbing for the Jewish community in general, for people of color, and our public schools overall. Additional relevant information about this will be sent out in the weekly TBE email soon, with information about how to send an email or letter to the California Department of Education urging an ethnic studies curriculum that encourages open discussion and addresses all minorities and ethnic groups in an even-handed manner. Please also watch the weekly email for information about how you can join the TBE Green Team's efforts to reduce climate change, including how to urge Congress to support a just green recovery from this pandemic. The schedule for Rosh Hashanah Day tomorrow, Saturday, September 19th, is as follows. At 10 a.m. begins our Rosh Hashanah First Day service. And following that, Temple School families can still register for our in-person Temple School family service. So check your email, which came out today, for registration instructions. At 4 p.m., we have our Zoom preschool age family service. And at 5:30, the San Lorenzo Valley community joins for Tashlich in person with Cantor Lisa at the Ben Lomond Dam. Then at 5:30 p.m. tomorrow evening, we will air Rosh Hashanah, and we encourage you to join us. This year, we include 2 brand new songs from the band. And the following day, Sunday, September 20th, the second day of Rosh Hashanah, we join with Temple Emmanuel in San Francisco for their second day Rosh Hashanah service at 10 a.m., followed at 5:30 by Tashlich on the west side at Natural Bridges with Peter and myself, and then also at 5:30 in Aptos at Rio Del Mar with Rabbi Paula. We wish you a Shana Tova.
Hi there. I'm checking in to see what you're doing. Oy, when I give, it makes me feel so good. That's what people need to feel.
And now a word.
If you have friends here you think who are not doing their part, drop them little hints, like say to them, how much did you give the temple last week? Or how much did you pledge for the year? Tell your friends, a wish list is good, but what the temple needs is cash. General funding to support activities and keep all our staff. That's what the rabbi told me to say. Never mind, honey. You should have a good day and don't worry about anything because I love you. Love you so much. Goodbye. Bye. Kisses. And don't forget, remind your friends to give. We need it. All right. Bye, honey. Oy, oy, oy.
Let's turn to page 81 for the introduction to Aleinu, from sanctification to adoration. No one ever told me the coming of the Messiah could be an inward thing. No one ever told me a change of heart might be as quiet as new fallen snow. No one ever told me that redemption was as simple as springtime and as wonderful as birds returning after a long winter, rose-breasted grosbeaks singing in the swaying branches of a newly budded tree. No one ever told me that salvation might be like a fresh spring wind, blowing away the dry, withered leaves of another year, carrying the scent of flowers, the promise of fruition. What I found for myself, I try to tell you. Redemption and salvation are very near, and the taste of them is in the world that God created and laid before us. Let's turn to page 83 for Aleinu and rise. We continue at the middle of page 83. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא עשנו לשומרי האדמה, והוא שמנו לשליחי התורה, שהוא שם חיינו איתם, וגורלנו עם כל העולם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. Page 84 at the bottom of the page. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. Let's turn to page 88. At last, all requests are granted, and this is mine. Grasp my affection in your hand and hold it there. Gather my affection into your heart and store it there. Draw my affection in simple lines in your mind and foster it, further it, funnel it into all the coastal plains and lowlands where daily life and memory flow together. Let the river of affection rise and overflow. Let the grasses in the meadow near the river bend in the current where my love has flooded your land.
Tonight we hold deeply in our hearts all of our beloved dead who have walked the path before us. And tonight, many of you have already heard the sad news that notorious RBG has fought her last battle. May she rest in peace and power. She's with us this evening. Tonight we are remembering the yahrzeits of Bernice Arnold, Herman Kalin, Selig Cedar, Miriam Cherkas, Stephanie Aisley, Irving Adelson, Dave Yulkin, Louis Feynman, Gregory Feynman, Jeanette Freeman Shapiro, Vivian Hager, Sydney Jacobs, Dorothy Marks, Fred Novus, Elsa Pierce, Noah Rhodes, Joseph Saxer, Nathan Chaten, David Selman, Francine Shafton, Stanley Wapner, Leland Zeidler. We mourn the recent death of Francie Michelson, beloved mother of Linda Israel, mother-in-law of Ron, grandmother of Debbie, great-grandmother of Zeph. And Les Scher, beloved brother of Eddie Scher, brother-in-law of Lori, uncle of Roxy and Chris and Abe, great-uncle of Kyle. And Sandy Linzer, beloved partner of George Botwinick, mother of Jeff, Rick, Merrill, Deb, and Dan. And Jim Glasgow, beloved brother-in-law of David and Rachel Klieger. We find the mourner's Kaddish on page 90. If you're able to rise, please do so now. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah be'oma divarah chirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon uvyomechon ובחיי דכל בית ישראל בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עולמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילה ולעילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה תאמירן בעולמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו אמן. Please be seated.
Let's turn now to page 77 at the bottom of the page.
Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Chanenu v'Hanenu, ki ein banu
Masi. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Choneinu ve'aneinu, ki ein banu masid. Aseh imanu, tzedaka v'chesed. Aseh imanu, tzedaka v'chesed, ve'hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Chaneinu v'aneinu, ki ein banu masid. We turn to page 79 for Kiddush. Wine is the symbol of joy. And indeed, with all our troubles, we still have so much to be thankful for. May it be a sweet year. Vayhi Vayhi Voker Yom HaShishi. Vayechulu hashamayim v'haaretz v'chol tzivam. Vayichal Elohim bayom hashvi'i milachto asher asa. Vayishpot bayom hashvi'i mikol milachto asher asa. Vayivarech Elohim et yom hashvi'i Vayikadesh oto, ki vo shavat mikol melachto, asher bara Elohim lasot. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol am, v'romamanu mikol lashon, v'kidishanu b'mitzvotav, v'atiten lanu Adonai Eloheinu b'ahava, et yom hashabat hazeh, v'et yom hazikaron hazeh, Yom Zichron Torah be'ahava, Mikra Kodesh, Zecher L'tziat Mitzrayim, Ki vanu v'charta, V'otanu kidasha, Mikol ha'amim, Udvarcha emet, V'kayam le'ad, Baruch atah Adonai, Melech al kol ha'aretz, Mekadesh ha'shabbat, V'Yisrael v'yom hazikaron. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. L'shana tova tikatevu.